The millionaire's mother begged, "I can't swim," but her son, enraged, did this to his own wife. In the glittering sprawl of New York City, where skyscrapers pierced the heavens like diamonds in a crown, lived Alexander Hawthorne, a self-made millionaire whose fortune was built on the ruthless world of tech startups. At 42, Alexander was the epitome of success, sharp-suited, charismatic, and unyieldingly ambitious. His name graced the covers of Forbes and Wired, his company, Apex Innovations, revolutionizing AI-driven finance. But beneath the veneer of triumph lay a man haunted by shadows, a temper that simmered like a storm on the horizon. Alexander's life was a carefully curated masterpiece. His wife, Isabella Hawthorne, was a vision of grace and intellect. At 38, she had once been a rising star in the art world, her paintings fetching six figures at galleries in Soho. With raven hair cascading like midnight silk and eyes the color of deep sapphire, Isabella had captured Alexander's heart during a charity gala 5 years ago. Their marriage was the envy of high society, lavish parties, exotic vacations, and a penthouse overlooking Central Park. Yet, cracks had begun to form, invisible to the outside world but festering within. Then there was Eleanor Hawthorne, Alexander's mother, a frail woman of 68 whose life had been one of quiet sacrifice. Widowed young after Alexander's father died in a factory accident, Eleanor had raised her only son in a modest Brooklyn apartment, working 2 jobs as a seamstress and a waitress to fund his education. Her hands, now arthritic and veined, bore the marks of endless labor. Eleanor lived with them now, in the opulent penthouse, a gentle soul who doted on her son and daughter-in-law. She spoke with a soft lilt, remnants of her Irish heritage, and her greatest fear was water, stemming from a childhood near drowning in the cold Atlantic during a family trip to Coney Island. "I can't swim," she would whisper whenever the subject arose, her voice trembling like leaves in the wind. The story truly began on a crisp autumn evening, aboard the Hawthorns' luxury yacht, the Serafina, moored off the coast of the Hamptons. It was meant to be a weekend escape, a chance to mend the growing rift in their marriage. Isabella had been distant lately, her laughter rarer, her touches fleeting. Alexander suspected an affair, whispers from colleagues about her late nights at the studio with a charming sculptor named Julian. Jealousy gnawed at him, a venomous serpent coiling in his chest. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of crimson and gold, the three of them gathered on the deck. Eleanor, wrapped in a cashmere shawl, sipped chamomile tea, her eyes twinkling with contentment. "This is lovely, darlings," she said, her voice warm. "The sea air does wonders for the soul." Isabella stood at the railing, gazing at the endless ocean, her silk dress fluttering in the breeze. Alexander approached her, a glass of scotch in hand, his face a mask of forced calm. "We need to talk," he murmured, his tone edged with steel. She turned, her eyes meeting his. "About what, Alex? Your endless work calls. Or how you've become a stranger in your own home." The words ignited the fuse. Alexander's grip tightened on the glass. "Don't play innocent, Isabella. I know about Julian. The late nights, the secret texts. Do you think I'm blind?" Eleanor's head snapped up, her teacup clattering against the saucer. "Children, please. Not here. Let's enjoy the evening." But Isabella's face flushed with indignation. "Julian. He's a colleague, nothing more. You're paranoid, Alex. Your success has poisoned you. You see betrayal everywhere because you're the one who's unfaithful to us all with your ambition." The argument escalated like a gathering tempest. Voices rose, accusations flew. Alexander's rage, long suppressed, erupted. "You ungrateful witch. Everything I do is for this family, for you. And this is how you repay me." In a blur of fury, he lunged forward, grabbing Isabella by the arm. She struggled, her heels scraping the polished deck. "Let go of me," she cried. Eleanor rose unsteadily, her chair tipping over. "Alexander, stop. This isn't you." But the millionaire's eyes were wild, consumed by betrayal. With a savage shove, he pushed Isabella toward the railing. She teetered, her arms windmilling, and then, over she went, plummeting into the dark, churning waters below with a splash that echoed like a gunshot. Time froze. Isabella's scream pierced the night as she surfaced, gasping, her dress sodden and heavy. "Alex, help." Eleanor's face drained of color. She rushed to the edge, peering down at her daughter-in-law thrashing in the waves. "Oh God, Isabella. Hold on." Alexander stood rooted, his chest heaving, the reality of his actions crashing over him like a wave. Regret flickered in his eyes, but pride held him back. He turned to the controls, intending to lower the lifeboat, but Eleanor moved faster than her years suggested. Without hesitation, the elderly woman climbed onto the railing. "Mother, no!" Alexander shouted, reaching for her. "I can't swim," Eleanor begged, her voice breaking, tears streaming down her wrinkled cheeks. "But I can't let her drown. She's family." In that heart-wrenching moment, Eleanor's love overpowered her terror. She jumped, her frail body slicing into the water with a feeble splash. Isabella, spotting her, swam toward the bobbing figure. "Eleanor, no!" Alexander's world shattered. He dove in after them, the cold Atlantic shocking his system. The water was merciless, waves slapping against him as he fought to reach his mother and wife. Eleanor flailed weakly, her arms tiring quickly, her cries muffled by the sea. "Help! I can't swim." Isabella, a strong swimmer from her college days, reached Eleanor first, wrapping an arm around her. "I've got you. Hold on." But the current was strong, pulling them away from the yacht. Alexander swam with desperate strokes, his muscles burning. He grabbed Isabella's free hand, forming a human chain. Pulled toward the boat. He yelled over the roar of the waves. Minutes felt like hours. Exhaustion clawed at them, but Alexander's determination, the same fire that built his empire, propelled them forward. They reached the ladder, and with Herculean effort, he hoisted his mother aboard first, then Isabella. All three collapsed on the deck, shivering, gasping, alive. In the aftermath, as the yacht motored back to shore under the stars, silence enveloped them. Eleanor, wrapped in blankets, looked at her son with eyes full of sorrow and forgiveness. "Alexander, my boy, rage is a poison. It nearly cost us everything." Isabella, bruised but unbroken, touched his hand. "We need help, Alex. Counseling, time, real time, for us." That night marked the turning point. Alexander, humbled by the brink of loss, sought therapy. He learned that his rage stemmed from abandonment fears, rooted in his father's death and the poverty of his youth. Isabella confessed her own loneliness, the affair a mere flirtation born of neglect. Eleanor, the quiet hero, became the glue that mended their fractures. But the story doesn't end there. Months later, Alexander sold Apex Innovations for $1 billion, using the proceeds to found the Hawthorne Foundation, dedicated to mental health and family counseling. He named it after his mother, the woman who couldn't swim but dove into the abyss for love. Isabella's art flourished anew, her pieces now infused with themes of redemption and resilience. And Eleanor. She learned to swim at 69, conquering her fear in a heated pool, her son's hand steadying her. Their bond, forged in the crucible of that fateful night, became unbreakable. Alexander often reflected on the title fate might assign their tale: a millionaire's rage, a mother's plea, and the act that could have destroyed them all, pushing his wife into the depths. But instead of tragedy, it birthed transformation. Years passed. On Eleanor's 75th birthday, aboard the same yacht now rechristened Eleanor's Grace, the family toasted under a full moon. Alexander raised his glass. "To the woman who begged, 'I can't swim,' but saved us all." Eleanor smiled, her eyes misty. "Love, my dears, is the strongest current. It carries us home." And so, in the vast ocean of life, they sailed on, together, healed, powerful in their vulnerability. Let us delve deeper into the characters' backstories to make this heart-touching narrative even more powerful. Alexander Hawthorne was born in the gritty underbelly of Brooklyn, where dreams were as scarce as sunlight in winter. His father, a steelworker named Thomas, perished in an industrial accident when Alexander was just 8. The image of his mother, Eleanor, collapsing in grief at the doorstep haunted him. She worked tirelessly, her fingers bleeding from needles, her feet aching from endless shifts, all to send him to a better school. "You'll make it, Alex," she'd say, tucking him in with stories of grand adventures. Those tales fueled his ambition, but they also planted seeds of anger, at the world for taking his father, at poverty for chaining them. By 25, Alexander had bootstrapped his first app, a financial tracker that went viral. Success snowballed. He met Isabella at 37, during a storm of his own making, a failed merger that left him raw. She was exhibiting her abstract paintings, swirls of color that mirrored his chaos. "Your art speaks to the soul," he told her. They married in a whirlwind, vows exchanged on a Hawaiian beach. But marriage revealed flaws. Alexander's workaholism left Isabella isolated. She poured her heart into canvases, but longed for connection. Julian, the sculptor, was a kindred spirit, nothing physical, but emotional sparks that made her question her vows. Eleanor moved in after a fall broke her hip. She adored Isabella, teaching her old Irish recipes, sharing laughter over tea. "You're the daughter I never had," Eleanor would say. The yacht trip was Isabella's idea, a reset. But tensions boiled over dinner. Alexander found a text from Julian on her phone: "Miss our talks. See you soon." Jealousy exploded. The push was impulsive, a moment of blind rage. Isabella's fall was slow-motion horror. Eleanor's jump, pure instinct. As she hit the water, memories flooded, the Coney Island waves pulling her under as a child, her brother's arms saving her. Now, she was the savior. In the water, Eleanor's panic was visceral. "I can't swim," she gasped, swallowing salt. Isabella, drawing on lifeguard training from youth, coached her: "Float on your back, Eleanor. I'm here." Alexander's dive was redemption's first stroke. He battled guilt with every breath. Reaching them, he whispered apologies amid the waves. Post-rescue, the hospital vigil bonded them. Doctors marveled at Eleanor's survival. Therapy sessions peeled layers. Alexander's abandonment issues, Isabella's neglect, Eleanor's unspoken resentment at her son's emotional distance. The foundation became their legacy. Alexander spoke at TED Talks about rage's cost. Isabella's exhibit, Depths of Forgiveness, sold out, proceeds to water safety programs, honoring Eleanor's fear. On that birthday cruise, as dolphins danced alongside, Alexander knelt before his mother. "You taught me love conquers all." Eleanor hugged him. "And you, my son, learned to swim through life's storms." Isabella intertwined their hands. "We're unsinkable now." Their story, whispered in elite circles, inspired many, a powerful reminder that even in rage's depths, love can pull us to the surface.